Welcome to Relevant Christianity. Wow, it's been quite a week. I'm not in the studio today, but I'm recording from home. We have been filming all week relating to the finishing touches on my documentary, Freedom. I'll share a bit more about that in a few minutes. Anyway, even though we have been overwhelmed with this project, I wanted to be sure and share for a few minutes today. I know very well that culture changes over time, but really, America, we've become quite an embarrassment, not only as it relates to our reputation around the world, but to God. I grew up in a denomination with a Bible that taught us to love all, regardless of their beliefs. When a politician takes office that you don't care for or agree with, you respectfully wait until the next election and then you vote for change. But something quite different has happened this time, and I see hatred really increasing. The escalating hatred, even calling for the killing of those you disagree with, it's unfathomable. However, it has certainly been predicted. There will never be a perfect president. However, as Christians, God calls us to live as his servants, sharing his love and his gospel. I'm reminded of Proverbs 15:1 that tells us that a gentle answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stir up anger. We've certainly been witnessing a lot of hatred, even in the church. Charlie Kirk's assassination brought out the worst in people. There was a time when we would not wish anyone dead, but pray that God would reign in their lives and that their hearts would be changed. I think that's the appropriate way to approach, someone that you strongly disagree with. But today, hatred is stirring bigotry and racism, and I think it's largely among those that are beating the drums of accusations. I had a situation unfold even on Facebook where someone who I hold very near and dear to me for so long, but I haven't communicated with for quite some time, made a post uh, declaring that she basically hates every white person because of their racism. And I said to her, "Really, is this you? I mean, is this how you've seen me?" And, she gave me kind of the benefit of the doubt that, oh, well, you were different. But certainly there has to be a large amount of people that are different. Not everyone is a racist. And it's amazing how we lump into one category such a huge accusation. I think that's very dangerous to do. I've heard sermons recently that are filled with hatred, some within my own denomination, encouraging division instead of evangelizing for the unity of Jesus that we need to have throughout not just our denomination, but throughout this world. I mean, we're behaving like a third world country. We should be calling for peace and for joy and for embracing one another instead of increasing the great divide. All of this reminded me of the Bible's prediction in 1 Timothy 3. I'll read it from the contemporary English version. It says, "You can be certain that in the last days there will be some very hard times. People will love only themselves and money. They will be proud, stuck up, rude, and disobedient to their parents. They will also be ungrateful, godless, heartless, and hateful. Their words will be cruel, and they will have no self control or pity. These people will hate everything that is good. They will be sneaky, reckless, and puffed up with pride. Instead of loving God, they will love pleasure. Even though they will make a show of being religious, their religion won't be real. Don't have anything to do with such people." Well, I think that when it says, don't have anything to do with these people, we certainly would want to pray for them that their hearts would be changed, that their hearts would be softened. Excuse me. For me, it's imperative that I make even a more determined effort to live close to God and represent his character This while I witness hatred for Christians that's increasing each and every day. John 15:8 reminds me that if the world hates me, remember it hated me first, that it hated Christ first. Without total and complete reliance upon God, we're going to be consumed by the declining culture and chaos of this world. I've experienced being in the minority most of my life. Today, as I believe in Jesus, I will continue to be a minority. Again, even within my own denomination, who appears to be embracing sin instead of sharing about the redemption from sin, it's of great concern. Please slow down. Sit with Jesus and give him your pain, your frustrations, and your hatred. Ask him to soften your heart, to give you a new heart, that you would have a greater love, even for those that you disagree with, especially in this country. The freedom of choice and following your religious convictions without fear is what has drawn millions to America. In keeping with the beauty of these freedoms is a case that was put before the Supreme Court this week, the Childs versus Salazar case. This is Kaylee Childs, who is a Christian counselor against the state of Colorado, who holds on to what is called a conversion therapy ban that was established in 2019. This case made it all the way to the Supreme Court. There was another case last year from Brian Tingley, also a Christian counselor out of the state of Washington, that was refused to be heard. But I'm grateful that this case is being heard. 23 states and the District of Columbia have such bans. These bans prevent a counselor from suggesting that sexual orientation can change among minors, yet, at such a young age, that's when they're most impressionable. And certainly, you would want to be able, as a parent, to teach them the ways of Christ, if that is, what your belief is. And in America, we have had those freedoms. God parenting rights are being criminalized by LGBT activism and aided by the American Psychological Association, a group of psychologists who want to take over parental rights. It's hard to imagine that 23 states and the District of Columbia has already succeeded at robbing you of your rights. However, they're not alone. 31 regions around the world have such bans that are in place. You won't want to miss my podcast with Andrew Rodriguez next week. He's a Christian mental health counselor. He was a large inspiration to me for the upcoming documentary that I have, The Freedom Project. And we'll discuss in more detail the case that has been presented to the Supreme Court with Kaylee Childs. Some of you are already aware of the Freedom Project and can probably make the connection. For nearly 3 years, I've been researching and exploring these conversion therapy bans around the world. This month, I'll head back to Malta, where Matthew Grech is being prosecuted simply for sharing his testimony, his conversion that happened in his life. And a verdict will come down on October 29th. 2.5 years ago, two LGBT activists took aim at Matthew for their political gain. We'll see how that sets with the magistrate there. I'm praying that it will have a positive outcome. I've interviewed Matthew on this podcast. I hope that you'll take a look at it. How this case is deciding will have rippling effects around the world. Matthew and his story is featured in the Freedom documentary. We've been there. This will be the third time that we've been in Malta as this case has unfolded over the last 2.5 years. I'm asking for prayers as we complete this documentary and as Matthew's case is decided. This has been a very costly project. And if you see value in this, if you'd like to learn more or contribute to this project, you can visit knowhislove.org. That's KNOW, hislove.org/freedom. There's a donate button there, and there are also 3 film clips that you can take a look at. Thanks so much for joining me today. I know this was short, but sometimes that's better than a long one. If you've been blessed, click on the thumbs up below and click subscribe. I'll leave you with a clip from the Freedom Project. God bless you. Be confident in Him and share His love with everyone. Let's do this peacefully and with our eyes and our focus on Jesus instead of the discontent and the chaos of this world.
I get invited by this liberal platform. I was asked, can you share with us about gay therapy?
A man in Malta has been accused of advertising so-called conversion therapy.
3 people reported me and the presenters to the police. If found guilty, we can be liable to up to 5 months of imprisonment for stating what we stated.
Is homosexuality a choice? Can religion steer young people away from that choice?
My message to all the young people, just be you.
If I go to prison, I'm not leaving Jesus behind. I'm taking Jesus with me to prison.